Welcome to DIY with Nancy. Hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to share with you my recipe for cannolis with ricotta cream. And ricotta is one of my favorite cream fillings in the cannolis, and I'm going to show you how to make the cannoli shells from scratch as well as the ricotta filling. Now the ricotta filling, you can have it with chocolate chips or you can just have it plain. Personally, I like plain, but my kids love the chocolate chips. So I'm going to show you how to make both fillings with the cannoli shells. So stay with me and watch how to make fresh cannolis at home step by step. To get started, we're going to start off with the dry ingredients for the cannoli shells. Start off with 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. To that, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of powdered sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Stir together your dry ingredients. Next, I'm adding 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Next, I'm going to work my hands into the flour with the butter. So I'm incorporating the butter with the flour before I add my next ingredient. Now that I have the butter incorporated into the flour, I'm adding 1 large egg. Next, I'm adding a 1/4 cup of Marsala wine. For those of you who don't know what Marsala wine is, it's a sweet wine which almost tastes like a Portuguese port wine. So you can substitute it with port if you don't have the Marsala. Now here you're going to mix the Marsala into the dough and keep working it until you form a dough. If you find it's too dry, feel free to add a tablespoon of water at a time until you form a dough, just like this. To flour my surface, I've set aside here 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Here I'm just firming the dough, forming a round disc just like this. I'm placing the dough in plastic wrap. And I'm placing the dough in the refrigerator for 30 minutes to chill. Next, I'm going to prepare the ricotta cheese cream filling. I have here 475 grams of ricotta cheese. Now I had the ricotta cheese in the fridge overnight for about 8 hours, wrapped in a cheesecloth. You don't need to use a cheesecloth. You can simply use a strainer with a bowl underneath. Next, I'm adding 1/2 cup of sugar. Stir the sugar into the ricotta. Next, I like to add a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. This is optional. You don't have to add this to the ricotta cream, but I love cinnamon, so I'm adding it in. I'm stirring together the ricotta cream before I add it to my blender so I can have a whipped ricotta cream filling. I've transferred the ricotta cream to my blender and I'm going to mix it for 1 minute on high speed. Here's the texture of the ricotta cream. Soft and smooth. Next, I have here 1/3 cup of chocolate chips. You can also use dark chocolate, dry orange peel, lemon zest, dry fruit. It's just a few options, or you can just leave it plain, and I'll be making some plain ricotta aside on a separate bowl. I have 2 bowls with ricotta cream, a plain and one with 1/3 cup of chocolate chips. Stir together the chocolate chips in the ricotta cream. Set aside the ricotta cream while we move on to making the cannoli shells. The dough has been chilling for 30 minutes, and as you can see, it's a very firm dough. Next, I'm placing all-purpose flour on my surface and on the dough. Next, I'm using a pastry scraper to cut the dough. It just makes it easier to roll out the smaller piece of dough. Now here I've rolled out the dough, and you can see it's less than 1 inch thickness. So you want to roll it out really thin. And next I'm using my pastry cutter. But you know what? don't worry, if you don't have a pastry cutter, you can simply use a round glass or cup. Here are the forms that I'll be using to form the cannoli shells. I'll be wrapping the dough around the tube, sealing it with egg wash and placing it on the tray with paper towel. For the egg wash, you will need 1 whole egg to seal the dough. For the next step, I'm going to form the shells. I'm centering the dough in the center of the tube and overlapping both sides. And I'll be sealing it on the top, as you can see here. Now, before I do that, I'll be placing some egg wash on the edge of the dough, placing my finger in the egg wash and just lightly dabbing the egg wash on the end of the dough, just like that. And sealing it by overlapping it and just slightly tapping it, making sure it's sealed so that way when you fry it, it doesn't come apart. And there you go. You have a cannoli shell. Let's get to frying the cannoli shells. To fry the cannoli shells, I've placed vegetable oil in a deep frying pan. I have the oil set at 350 degrees. I'm placing the cannoli shells in the oil to fry for approximately 1.5 to 2 minutes or until they're lightly golden brown. Now you want to wait until the cannoli shells completely cool, and when they do, you want to slightly twist the tube and pull the cannoli shell just as I'm doing here. Next, I'm ready to fill the cannoli shells with the ricotta cream, and here I'm using a piping bag and I'm filling the ricotta cream in the bag so that way I can pipe it into the cannoli shells. Substitute for the piping bag would be a Ziploc bag. Place the ricotta cream in your Ziploc bag, seal it, push it to one corner, and you'll see you have a tip there, and you simply cut the top of the tip on the Ziploc bag and use it as a piping bag. To fill the cannoli shells, simply pipe in the ricotta cream into one side, and you flip it, and you fill it into the other side. And there you have it, a cannoli filled with ricotta cream. And for the last step, I have here 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar, which I'm slightly dusting onto the cannolis. And there you have it, fresh cannolis with ricotta cream. Okay everyone, that was my recipe for cannolis with ricotta cream filling. I hope you all enjoy the recipe. I know I'm gonna enjoy the cannolis, and I always leave a little bit extra of the cannoli filling because it's one of my favorites. And you can also eliminate the cinnamon in the ricotta cream if you like. You don't have to place that in there. I personally love cinnamon, so as many desserts as I can make with cinnamon, I make them. So cheers. Hope you all liked the recipe, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, take care everyone.